Going to be talking about today. So let's connect with Evan. Nopon deodorant. It's truly what gets me through these live sessions when you're nervous. It's the only natural deodorant that works, that I've found that works, and you can get yours at nopon.ca. And now, Evan, I'm so excited for this conversation. I know that it's going to be so rewarding for everyone listening. And my first question to you is, what is a personal mantra or statement that you live by?
Well, you said .ca. Are you Canadian?
I'm actually Norwegian, but I live in Canada right now.
Where? I'm in Toronto.
I'm in Toronto too.
Hey, here we go. Canadians in the house. I love it.
it.
There aren't that many
Toronto's such an
Norwegians
amazing
in
city.
Canada.
What's that?
There aren't that many Norwegians here.
There really aren't, and I'm trying to actually find them and connect with them, and I have a little bit, but it's you're right, there's not that many, so I feel very rare.
Cool. I love it. Anyway, that's cool. Fellow Torontonian. Maybe one day we'll do this in person.
I would love to.
So I think everybody has a personal mantra statement. I think everybody, in my words, would be your single most important core value. So when you figure out what your single most important core value is, that gives you a roadmap for the rest of your life. So for me, it's believe. I want to solve the world's biggest problem, which I think is people don't believe in themselves enough. And it's a constant reminder to believe in myself, believe that it can work, believe that things will happen. And I think we need more of that. I think the lack of belief is the world's biggest problem is whatever you think the world's number one problem is, cancer. I think the woman who solves cancer could have already solved it before, could have already been done, but she's stuck at some accounting job that she hates instead. And so I just you're trying to inspire people through the work that you do and have an impact through your show. And our messages are pretty similar. But I think when you figure out your most important core value, it gives you that direction for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that leads me into my next question, which is, you are, like you said, trying to solve one of the world's biggest problems, which is believing in yourself, which a lot of people really do struggle with. And what would you say are some of the best ways that we can start to believe in ourselves more? How did you start doing that for yourself? And what would you say to others?
Yeah, so two things. The first is to surround yourself with the people who are doing the thing. Whatever mindset you want to take on, the more you're around it, the more they'll pull you up. So if you want more belief, then you could follow me. I'm going to be spreading it a lot. If you want more impact, you could follow you. If you want more, whatever the thing is you want more of, do an audit of your circle. Do an audit of the real people that you connect with, like your friends, your family, the people who you have conversations with. And just think, when I leave them, do I feel better about myself or worse? Do I have more energy or less? Coming from this conversation, I'm going to have more energy leaving than what I came in with, because we're pouring into each other. Where I think a lot of people, you feel depleted, you feel drained when you spend time with them. So step one is to stop spending time with them. Same thing for the people you consume online, YouTube channels, Instagram channels. When you go to your Instagram and you look at the people who you're following, do you feel more inspired and hopeful and think that it's possible and believe in your impact? Or do you feel worse about yourself and say, man, I just wasted 3 hours on Instagram and I feel like a loser? It's not Instagram, it's the people that you're following. Change the people that you're following. And same thing on YouTube. So when you start to change your environment and surround yourself with the people who are doing the thing that you want to do, you start to adopt that mindset and belief system. And then the second step is to do. You have to start doing. You got to create. You got to make. You got to take a change in your life. If you just read about Instagram lives, but you never make it, you're not any closer to your goal. If you read about doing push-ups, but you never do them, you're not going to get any fit. So it's taking that first step and being around those people gives you the encouragement, motivation, excitement, power to actually go off and take that first step, which is going to be pretty scary.
And I love what you say about you have to look very carefully at the people you're surrounding yourself with, because we really become the people we surround ourselves with. And what are some advice you would give to someone who might now be thinking about their circle and they're seeing that they need to make some changes there? How can you let go or start to spend less time with someone in a way that will kind of not create any conflicts or kind of make a smooth transition into a better tribe?
I think you have two options. You either rip out the weed or you just stop watering the plant. You know, how do you get rid of a weed? Well, you rip it out or you just stop watering the area around it. It may be that you need to leave right now. Like if you're in a really negative relationship, if you're in an abusive relationship, maybe the answer is no, I'm ready for a sharp change and I'm going to rip out this weed and I'm going to start my new life. And maybe that's what you have to do. But I think for most people, just stop watering that weed. Just stop spending time. It doesn't mean you have to go call your friend from high school and say, hey, listen, you know, you're pretty toxic and you're hurting me and I don't want to spend time with you anymore. Like you don't have to go hurt somebody else. Just be unavailable and they'll forget about it. You know, like people move apart. And I think we hang on to relationships out of convenience that, well, because I've known him since high school, now I have to stay friends with him. And we're also, quite frankly, probably the bigger thing, afraid of making new friends. Because we'd rather be with a friend that is a little negative because they still support us because we long for connection than have no friends and be isolated and alone. We're afraid of meeting new people. So that becomes the next challenge is like, hey, how do you put yourself into circles where you can be around the people who are doing the thing you're doing? When you do that, you will suddenly stop spending time with the people who are bringing you down and have less energy.
I love that analogy. You either rip out the weed or you stop watering the plant. That's a very good way of thinking about it.
I've never said that before, so there you go. You brought that out.
Oh wow! I really love that. That was a great way of putting it. And now I'm really curious about your morning routine, if you have one, and how you kind of set yourself up for a successful day ahead.
The most important part, I think, for me in the morning routine, I do a bunch of things, but is setting the intention for the day. So what I used to do was just look at my calendar and set the intention for the entire day. So today is a Thursday. You know, we're recording this on a Thursday, and Thursday is my public facing day. Thursday is when I do my interviews and my podcasts and my hangouts because I'm a shy, introverted person. I don't like being in front of the camera. You know, I don't like being on stage. I do it because I want to serve, and it ultimately gives me energy. But I have to build towards it. So having one day where I can put all of my meetings and calls and interviews together really helps because I'm gonna take the energy from you and put it into the next person as well. And so it just keeps building. Where I think if you jump between too many things, if I went from this to then writing a book to then making a video, you're just jumping to too many things. So if you ever feel like you get to the end of the week and you've gotten, like you worked really hard, but you feel like you got nothing done, it's usually because you were jumping between different kinds of energy too much. So I look at what is the intention for the day, and more specifically inside, now I'll look at, okay, how do I want to show up for this person? And some people I know who I'm doing interviews with, some people, you know, we're meeting for the first time and you find out they're a fellow Canadian, let's go. But even things like, you know, at 2:30, for example, I take a break and I spend time with my wife and we spend half an hour together. On a nice day like this, we're probably gonna go to the park, take the dogs, and I'll put a little note, I'll write it out to myself, have fun and make Nina feel loved. And I'll think about that usually the night before. You know, I'll look at my calendar and put out how I want the day to go. Have fun and make Nina feel loved. So it's just in my calendar and I'll do it. But that extra little step of intentionality, just me asking, how can I have fun and make Nina feel loved, will change how I show up for that half an hour we have together in the park. And so I think we have busy schedules. I mean, entrepreneurs, you don't have enough time in the day to get all the stuff done that you're trying to get done. but choosing how you want to show up to everything, having more intention with the moments in your calendar, I think is the next step to really unlocking high potential and success.
So you're all about kind of bulking things together, and you were talking about the same type of energy for longer periods of time and not jumping between things. And productivity is such a key element of success and getting to where you want to be, because it's like you said, it's there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done as an entrepreneur and whatever you're doing. And what are some other tips that you have for getting the most out of the day and getting as much done as possible so that you're able to really to make that progress that you want to make?
The most important thing is actually not a hack. So I think there's lots of tools you can say, hey, different things, different days, different work, use this calendar, use this, CRM, whatever. I think the most important thing though actually is that you love the stuff that's on your calendar. I've studied so many successful people just in the nature of what I do. And the number one rule for success is that they love the work. They love the process. It's not just about hitting 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Like, you have to love actually making videos. When you love something, you're going to have more energy. You're going to be way more productive. Where if it's just a strategy for you, you're not going to show up. You're going to force yourself to do it, but then you can only force yourself to do something for so long before you quit. So when people ask me, well, how many hours a day do you work? I don't know. What's work? Like, talking to you, is this work? This is not work for me. This is fun. So it's just all life, work-life balance. It's just life balance. And so I think when you actually love the thing that's on your calendar, you're going to be way more productive. That's more important than any specific productivity hack. I think we're just doing too many things that we don't love doing, that are not in our zone of genius, and that you're not even doing for the right reasons. Now, it doesn't mean that there's a lot of stuff that we all have to do that we don't want to do, especially when you're building a business. Not every day is amazing and perfect and glorious, but overall, you should be able to look at the week ahead and be excited by the stuff that you're doing. If the idea of working on your business feels like work, you're probably doing the wrong business. And the best thing to do is to move to something else, as opposed to, okay, how do I pack my productivity on it?
I love what you're saying about if you're doing something you love, it doesn't really feel like work. And I couldn't agree more. Like, to me, this is just, something I love doing, and it doesn't feel like work. And for someone who's watching and they're not in that space right now, what are some ways that they can start to make the transition into doing something that they truly love and find rewarding?
I think it starts with recognizing what your purpose is, and your purpose comes from your pain. That's why I wrote Built to Serve. It was the number one question I kept getting asked is, what's my purpose? Well, your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with the most is what you want to help other people through. Not physical pain, like you broke your neck or whatever, but emotional pain. Like, when did you feel the lowest as a human? What was going on? What caused that? There are millions of people right now who are going through that right now. And they need you. They need your story. They need your hope. They need your lessons. They need your strategies. They need your belief. They need you. And they'll listen to you where they won't listen to an Evan Carmichael or a Tony Robbins or an Oprah or whoever, because we haven't gone through that same thing. And so when you can start to connect it to service, that, hey, what I'm doing can have an impact, when you start to see that what you're making is touching somebody's life, that's the thing they get hooked on. Like, that's the drug you want to be addicted to. So it starts with figuring out, what is your purpose? What did you struggle with the most? That's what you want to help other people with. Now, how can you actually go off and start doing that? Maybe that's coaching, maybe that's making videos, maybe that's Instagram, maybe that's working in a business, maybe that's launching a natural deodorant company. Shout out to Nopon, you never know. But the action that's not inspired is not going to be consistent. There's another one-liner I've never said. The action that's not inspired will never be consistent. And that's probably one of the biggest things.
I
You like
love all
that?
these quotes we're coming up with today, or you're coming up
Never said any of this stuff before. It's great. But it's true because you have to stay consistent on it, you know, and if it's not inspired, if it's not coming from a deep place, you're just not going to do it. People say, well, you'll do whatever it takes, but you won't. You know, once it gets hard, you just won't put in the work that's required because it feels like work. And you're going up against people who are loving doing that thing. And you're always going to lose if you don't love it. So when you can connect to that purpose, that's when you start to win.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it really does come down to finding your purpose and then launching out from that. And you're saying the way to find your purpose is to ask yourself what you've struggled with and what else do we need to do to make sure that we find the purpose and we're going with the right thing for us.
Well, most of the time when I ask that question, people go to some memory, you know, could be a childhood memory, could be something from last year or 5 years ago, but this is what I struggled the most with as a human. And what we typically want to do is not think about that anymore. And especially entrepreneurs, we're positive, we're optimistic. We don't want to live in the past of some painful moment. We want to create something new. The point of going backwards isn't to sit there and be stuck in the pain. It's to recognize that that pain created you and you can now help other people get through that pain. And however you got out is teachable. You know, whatever you struggled the most with, you can show others how to do it. So me as an example, my most painful moment was being 19, starting my business, struggling, making no money, you know, $300 a month, and I own 30 something percent of this, you know, company. And I turned down the high jobs to do it. And I was too embarrassed and ashamed to tell my friends that I wasn't succeeding and winning. And I just felt like a giant loser. And I told my partner that I quit. Like, worst day of my life, I told my business partner I quit because I couldn't believe that I quit on something that I cared about. You know, you quit on something you don't care about, it doesn't matter. But something that was so important to you and you quit, I couldn't believe I said that. And then I woke up the next day and I said, I can't quit. I just need to find a different way to stand. Somebody must have done this before. I can't be the first person to try to figure this out. And I looked at Bill Gates. I had a software company. Bill Gates was the first guy I thought of who had a software company. I applied those strategies to my company and we started to take off. That was when I was 19. I'm 41 now. What have I done for the past 20 whatever years? Teach people how to model success, like helping entrepreneurs believe in themselves more by modeling success. Because at 19, I needed to believe in myself more, and the path out was to model success. How you do it can change. You know, right now it's Instagram Live talking to you. Instagram didn't exist when I was 19. You know, so that didn't happen. I was reading books. So how you execute it will change, but the model that you can use, that you use for yourself, is teachable to other people, and that becomes the unlock for them because in you they see hope, potential, and possibility for themselves.
Yes. And you often stress the importance of having a mentor. And how, take us through that process, and should everyone be trying to get a mentor, and what is the best way to get a mentor? How did you do it?
I mean, we all have mentors. They just may not be serving us in the way that we want. You know, your parents are
Yes.
mentors, your friends are mentors. You know, I saw you post about your brothers, they're mentors and of
Yes.
sorts. So we all have mentors. Most of them just haven't been chosen. And so now it's time to choose with intention who we want to be surrounded by. What I found is every time I tried to do something by myself, it didn't win. And it just felt like a big loser. And anytime I found a model to follow and somebody to help me, whether that's a coach, whether that's somebody I could actually have a conversation with, whether that's modeling somebody else, every time I had a model to follow, that's when I started to win. And so whatever you want out of life, think about how many lives have been lived before you. Many, many billions of lives have been lived before you. Whatever you're struggling with has already been solved many, 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 many times. So what did they do to solve that? And then how can you apply that to your life? And it's not going to fit exactly. You know, it's going to be like trying on somebody else's hat or somebody else's shoes. It won't fit exactly. So you have to make some custom adjustments, but it takes you 80% of the way. And I think most people are stuck trying to figure out 100% of the way themselves. And so ever since then, 19, whenever I don't know what to do, I ask myself, who's done this before? And how can I model their success? And sometimes that's somebody you can have a coffee with and actually be when people think mentorship, they think of somebody that you're meeting every week, and that could definitely be it. But I think your show is mentorship. You know, like I think if people watch, how many episodes have you done of this show now?
I don't even have count. I've done quite a few now. Yeah, I started it last year, about a year, just over a year ago.
So you've got a year's worth of shows that if people are paying attention and listening to, you're mentoring them.
Mm-hmm.
You are mentoring them. Your guests are mentoring them. The questions, even how you frame the conversations, is a certain way of thinking that you have that then is teaching other people how to think as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you're mentoring them even if they never say hi or never say thank you or never leave a comment. But in 5 years, people will write in to say, hey, back in 2021, you did that interview or you posted that picture and it had a really life-changing impact on me. So mentors don't only have to be people who you can go have coffee with once a month. They're people who you're learning from and surrounding yourself with, whether Instagram, YouTube, coffee shop, environment, right? Like I have my parents behind me on my wall. All that stuff really matters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have a quick audience question. How do you differentiate between modeling someone and copying someone?
Copy at the beginning. To get you started, just copy. You know, like if you are starting your own show, whoever asked this question, like if you're going to start your own show and you say, wow, I love this show. I love the great questions that she asks. You can start your show by asking the exact same questions. Do it. You're never going to ultimately win with those same questions because those are coming from her heart. They're not coming from yours.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets you started. And what's going to happen is as you start asking the questions, you'll come up with your own that you'll like better than her questions. Your goal is not to be, there's the Elvis impersonators or people who only do cover songs. That's not your goal, is to just be a cover artist. But by copying, it gets you started. And that's the most important thing is at the beginning. People write to me all the time to say, Evan, this person is copying your videos. Evan, this person is copying your Instagram cartoons. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, one, I don't spend my time looking backwards. I'm like, where are we going? I don't care what other people are doing and what I've done 2 years ago. Like, where am I going now? And two, if all they're doing is copying, they're going to be an Evan Carmichael Jr. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a good starting point, but use that to then lift off and go do your own thing. So copy as much as you want at the beginning. And then in that copying, you'll find your own style.
Great answer. Absolutely. And now I want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to do 3 really quick final rapid fire questions. What is one book everyone should read?
Built to Serve, everybody. Come on now. You got to love your own work. Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely. Everyone needs to get a copy of Built to Serve. So many nuggets of wisdom and really helps to do and implement what we've been talking about, how to find your purpose and be the leader you were born to be. So highly recommend that to everybody. And what is one thing we can do for our health?
Love what you do. I think people default to like sleep more, eat vegan, keto diet, whatever. I honestly think when you love what you do, everything else falls into place. I think when you can take care of your mental health, it takes care of your physical health too. And the problem is most people don't feel like what they do matters, has no meaning, and that cascades into a lot of negativity. So the best thing you can do for your health is actually love the work that you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. What is one thing we can do to achieve our goals?
Do something today. I think people overthink the goals is like, okay, here's where I want to be in 5 years. And it becomes this big, overwhelming thing that then has to be perfect. Today, like the imperfect start is the only thing that's missing. What can you do to start? If you're thinking, hey, I want to start my own Instagram show, great. Like after this, press record and go live. Well, what if nobody shows up? They won't show up. Great, start. Next, right? It's just like the beginning, the steps, the first step that people are overthinking so much. Like, what's the perfect workout plan? Don't worry about the perfect workout plan. We spend so much time evaluating CrossFit versus being in the gym versus distance running versus paddleboarding versus whatever, but then you don't actually do anything. Well, the best thing you can do is you want to have a workout plan, great. Go do as many push-ups as you can right now. Maybe that's 2, maybe that's 22, maybe that's 202, I don't know. But those push-ups won't actually help you get healthy, but what it does is sets you up for the identity of I'm the person who starts. And then tomorrow you're more likely to actually keep going. So whatever big idea you have, it's dreaming big and starting small. Like today, the smallest possible thing to move your goals forward a little bit, 1%, do it.
Absolutely, I love it. Evan, thank you so much for such an incredible talk. I'm so glad we did this. And thank you so much again for coming on. It's truly an honor to have you. And I've been wanting to have you on the show. So I'm so thankful. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone got so much out of this conversation. It will be available. The recording will be available on IGTV. And I want to give a big thank you to Nopon Deodorant for sponsoring this episode. You can get your natural deodorant without any of the nasties at nopon.ca. And Evan, thank you so much again.
Thank you for the love. And we'll do it next time. We'll do it in person. We're both in the same city.
Let's do it. I would love to. Everything's opening up now, so we can actually meet in person, which would be lovely.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.